Okay, kids, Red Panther here. I'm with Jim Duschen, Iowa State wrestler, high school coach for 30 years. And we're just talking about his sophomore year when he cut to 177. And you started at what?
I started right at about 218 off season, but I was already in the process of the season, and I had cut down to 191 for the Midlands over Christmas break. So I was back at, I think I was right around 202 when I actually decided to cut down. So it was about 25 pounds from that point. And at 202, I was in good shape.
Let me just interject. Jim Duschen has pretty much never had an ounce of fat on him, so you can imagine when he started cutting weight, he wasn't really fat. And how long did it take you to get to 177?
From when I started there at 202, I made it about a week and a half, I believe it was. I didn't want to prolong the agony, I guess. Wanted to get down there as quick as I could, feasibly could, and it was an experience. I'm not saying it's an experience that I enjoyed or would have ever done again after that season, but it did give me a different outlook, perspective on life in general. A lot of what we take for granted every day.
Kids, I saw a part of this, and we all kind of wondered if Jim was going crazy. He asked people to drink water at the water fountain just so he could watch them drink it. He used to buy people Cokes just to watch them drink it. I can say, from my own experience, cutting weight is a rare experience. It's hard to describe. So you make it to 177. The team is stronger. You're at 177.
Team was definitely stronger, and that was one aspect.
Buzzard's at 191.
Well, Don Buzzard was at 191, but we got to remember during that time, there were very few dual meets where teams wrestled 191. So it was 177 and then heavyweight.
Who was the heavyweight then?
The heavyweight that year was Ted Toonstra.
That's the year we went to the East Coast?
Yes, and I didn't make that trip. That was just before I made the weight. It was right around that time, or shortly after, that I decided to cut down. But I wasn't able to make the weight by the time the team took that trip.
Let's back up just a little bit, and I happen to know this because Jim lived underneath my floor. He didn't live. It's not like he lived in a crawl space. We lived in a dormitory. Jim was on the first floor. Or was it the second?
No, I believe I had moved up to the second floor.
At that time?
That year. I was on the first floor the year before.
Okay. Is that in Jones?
I was in Jones Hall, I believe, and then I moved up to, what was it?
Loudon?
Loudon.
That's where I lived, kids. But when you were in Jones, your roommate was...
Willie Hoosman.
Willie Hoosman. And we'll just take a second here to... I can't describe Willie Hoosman in a short a time, other than to say he was a great wrestler, a character from East.
Yes, Willie
Waterloo.
Was a couple years behind me there out of East. Was a teammate of Don Buzzard. Graduated the same year as Don. And those guys were sophomores when I was a senior in high school.
Willie's another guy that took a year off. And was he in Wisconsin?
He was in Milwaukee, I believe.
Milwaukee.
Here.
And then came down to wrestle I believe at 137, 145.
Well, 145 and 152.
Okay.
Right in there.
45 and 52. Willie, unfortunately, is not with us. After Iowa State, Willie tragically was killed in a car accident in Arizona.
Yes, I believe it was in Arizona. He was in the Air Force at the time.
But Willie was your roommate, and Jim and Willie lived in the floor below us. Then, like Jim said, he moved up to Helzer, and that's we're talking 2 very old dormitories at Iowa State. There's Friley and Helzer. Who's your roommate in Helzer? I mean Loudon.
Well, Loudon, that was Willie. I believe the year before, Willie was my roommate there, and Jones, eventually.
So Willie moved up too.
Yeah, I was in Friley the first year when I came down to Iowa State.
And down the road a piece, Jim and I had a place on
Lincoln Way?
can't even remember, Lincoln Way. It was one of Harold Nichols' houses, wasn't it?
Well,
Did he own it?
I did live in one of Harold Nichols' houses.
Hey kids, Jim's gonna answer the phone. We're right back.